So let us go back to our classroom. Refresh. I noticed that there were a couple of things popping in here. Dog's tail. Remember, this was easy, right? So this is Rachel. And you saw that I was very lenient with the grading on the dog's tail. I don't know why it's not downloading. Let me do it one more time. Oh, there we go. Okay, your dog looks weird, but the tail is working correctly. He's very smug. He's a smug pup. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right. And I thought there was another one. Yep, Angel.
Hello?
Your dog's tail looks okay. The line work is a little messy, but you get the idea. Ooh, I'm gonna put an emoji in your grade. All right, there we go. All right, I don't know. I think that was, oh, there was one more. Angel.
Yeah. It was my first time using Adobe Animate, but I usually use Harmony, so
Well, I think that what you did here was you were going for this. Uh, 2D. Hey. Albuquerque.
Albuquerque.
Let's see if Chrome can figure this out. Yeah, you're going for this one. You're definitely the first one. And so when you do this, so this was Angels, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're doing this, just with this example here, it's really laid out for you. You just pivot everything on the contact point. But remember that this one is not technically a dog's tail. This one's more like a blade of grass or
Yeah.
a plant that's being blown in the wind. So you're going from position 1 into position 2, and in position 2, you've already got crossover. You've already got what's called counteraction. We didn't talk about this one. And so when you do the drawing number 1, I mean, you can just kind of leave this up on your screen and follow along with it. But you draw position 1, and then you draw position 2 so that the bottom part of the tail is already moving right, but the left part of the table continues to move to the left. So that's counteraction. Same thing with 3 and 4. It's just a little bit more exaggerated. By 5, it's a total flip over. And in 7 and 8, it's another total flip over. But in order to get from 1 to 8 again, you've got to do the reverse of 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So you need a total of 16 drawings to do this one. And you could try it. It's actually pretty fun, but you can't just do that.
You want me to resubmit with like depth, obviously?
Well, I think you only if you want to. I would rather see that you were just doing the regular dog's tail, because that was 4 drawings, right? So you can if you want.
Okay.
All right, let's see what we've got. There was another thing here, so let's save that. Put this away. That's the wrong class. All right, refresh. And a couple of people were catching up on the flag. Okay, so let's do this. All right, Yolanda flag.
Yes.
All right, it's working. I think it's working fine. The only comment I would have is that maybe the upper right corner of the flag looks a little rounded. Remember that it's supposed to be a complete rectangle. And
Right.
so you would never want to hit that a rounded look to that, especially for 2 or 3 frames in a row. But
Mhm.
yep, essentially you got it. Good job.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. And another one, Rachel,
Yes.
how are you? Okay, yeah, it's working too. Got the flag, the wave working on the top and bottom. Looks pretty realistic. The flip over, you missed the crease, but that's okay. Okay, yes, perfect. Did I make this flag 250 points?
Yeah, you did.
I guess I must have, okay. All right, I promise you the animation will get a little more difficult when we get to the walk cycles and run cycles. Today, my plan is that we're gonna look at the fire and that we're gonna do smoke because it relates to it. All right, Angel. Yeah, I think it's working okay. I think you're missing the little flip over of the flag arc as it's coming from the top grommet. And it gets a little suspicious out here. It looks like it might be just jumping around a little bit rather than moving to the right. A couple of your creases look like they're going backwards. Okay.
Got it.
Angel, Mr. Angel. So it's not the best one I've ever seen, but it's starting to work a little bit. And one more in there. All right. All right, now we go to fire. Fire. All right, we'll start with Yolanda. Ooh, you painted your background black. Or dark. All right, so I think this is working okay. I'm a little skeptical of this area not moving around too much
Mhm.
and that it doesn't hook up. From the last frame to the first frame, there's a jump.
Yeah.
You've got the open space working pretty well. But I think that the other parts could use more of the actual loop effect like we were talking about. Like, getting like a volume moving upwards. So what's suspicious is that this little arc right here, this little U shape, it's just kind of hanging out there. I would have rather seen you working on getting that part, this whole volume right here, moving up and then turning into an ember. But essentially, it's pretty good.
Okay.
Thank you, Yolanda. Rachel,
Hello.
how are you?
Good.
Oh, show off. All right, so I think you could be happy with this. You've got some odd shapes in there, frame to frame. Each one of the, no, why isn't that working? I opened it with, oh, I'm at the end. So in some cases, it doesn't look like fire. I think that whenever you're doing this, you want You want whatever it is that you're animating to look like fire, not necessarily a bird, right? The movement is working okay. And the little one ember is okay. I think that you would have been more successful with trying to get the fire to wrap around the logs and to really concentrate on getting an area, a volume, a space of the fire to actually move up on the right. Try see if you can get it to cross over like we did last week. Having holes, having air holes in the fire is always a good thing that helps it. All right, can I see some hands for Rachel, please? Carmen.
No.
What's going on? Computer, wake up. Oh, there we go. Now I got two of them. Okay, so this is working pretty well. I think that what we have, oh, stop it. So what we see is we see an open space right here, indicating that there's air or just an open space. And I think that what that does is this is your frame one. And so you automatically want to look at this and say, this whole area, this whole space would need to move upwards. And on your second drawing, I think it does that. So this is your second drawing, it definitely does that. By your third drawing, it just kind of changes a little bit. See this little arc right here? This little C shape? It kind of stays in the same place. And this one just kind of gets a little bigger. By your fourth drawing, it's gone, so it could read as the open space. And now you've got a negative space C shape over here, which turns into that. That's why it's working. I think that you can definitely see that little pause where the C shape is like right where my mouse is. And just remember that fire is really energetic and that it's forgiving as long as you get the stuff to move upwards. Your embers are moving okay. This stuff over here is okay. I think that, yeah, just one little adjustment would be that little C shape over there. Pretty good.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Carmen. James, fire. Loop. All right, so I think this is working okay. I think that it's a little inconceivable that all of the parts of the fire that break away from it all become the same size. So if you look at this, you can see that the frame by frame, that you've got 3 embers here, and then in the next frame, the next drawing, the embers are all the same size. I think it might be more interesting if you get this to happen more often, just that idea of bigger shapes breaking away. Don't be afraid to let big shapes break away.
Okay, sounds good.
I think it works okay. The interior is working okay. You could probably use some little air holes, but it's working okay. All right, thank you, James.
Yeah, sweet, thank you.
Chloe. Okay. Air holes are working okay. This little shape right here could use a little work though. I think it's moving a little too slowly. So what I'm looking at is this backward C shape right here. So I'm going to go to your second drawing and it moves up just a little bit. It could probably move up a lot more. But in the third drawing, It's only moved up a little bit. So what happens is that this shape right here tends to be really slow. And my suspicion is that, yeah, your fourth drawing. So this is drawing 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this shape right here is only going from this position to that position in a third of a second. So if you were to just readjust this shape right here so that it moves up a little higher, and then even a bit higher so that it even overlaps this shape, which is entirely possible, sorry. So that it overlaps this shape right here, or tends to go to the right. Because by this frame, it's really slow. It's almost inconceivable that the fire is only going to move. I'll put my mouse right here. So on frame 1, you've got just the backward C shape. It goes up a little bit more. So it's only moved like maybe a scale of 6 inches in a third of a second. And I think that it should move a little faster. I think that at speed, the other parts of the fire are okay. It's hard to get the fire to not look like it's pulsing. But yeah, this one little piece on the left here is moving just a little too slow. Chloe, fire everybody. Yay!
Thank you, Billy.
You're welcome. Vivian,
Hi,
how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, yeah, that's working. Yeah, I think it's working. You've got that little piece crossing over, that's working. There's only one thing that's catching my eye. And I think that I'm gonna just put my mouse on the right side of the fire. And I'm looking at this little negative space, or that little backward shape right there. So it moves up and to the left a little bit, and then it moves up, and then it goes all the way up. So that's okay. So I'm wondering what was catching my eye. Maybe it's the jump between the last frame and the first frame. Let me see. Yeah, it looks like let me just study this for a moment. Something looks like it might be going backwards right here. So Vivian, just play along with me.
Okay.
We're gonna look at this little S shape, this whole S shape. So on the second drawing, it moves up. On the third drawing, it changes to like this shape right here. Then it breaks apart, that's fine. And then it continues to go up, that's fine. So going backwards, this outside shape right here takes over and goes up, and then up, and then one more drawing. Oh, that's where it sticks. See it sticking right there?
Oh, yeah.
So it sticks, but then my intuition is that when it catches up to the very first frame, it goes backwards. See that?
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
so that shape right there, you can fix this very easily just by going to this drawing here, I think is fine. Right? So get this little sphere of fire in the second to the last drawing to move up, or you might even be able to just add a little bit, pretending that it broke away in this drawing. But then in order to do that correctly, you've got to carry it through here in this space, and then the next few drawings have it become an ember. But you can see that that little thing is going backwards. See it?
Yeah.
It's like, and I know you hate me for seeing things frame by frame like that, but I've been just doing this too long. So if you could fix that little thing right there, it'll be better.
Okay.
You don't have to do it for me, but do it for you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Vivian, everybody, fat flippers together for Vivian. Yay! Angel? Angel?
Yeah.
What's going on with the file name here, Angel?
So I renamed the file you wanted, but I submitted it my phone and I have no idea how to rename it on my phone.
I'm gonna scout, I'm gonna discover where you live and I'm gonna dress like you and follow you around.
It's in Pacifica. It's near the Taco Bell. You
That's
can
good. I'll
slide
be
through.
there in like 25 minutes.
Say less, Professor.
Yeah, this is figure out a way to make this a
No,
real,
Yeah.
a
When I
real
get
file
home
name.
with my computer, I'll definitely rename the file.
So I think that it doesn't work just because of the loop. And there's also another little issue here is that it grows. So the fire starts, but I think that somewhere around here is where you want to actually start your loop. You know, you've got a nice shape right there, and then it moves to the right a little bit, and then to the left. So yeah, don't do this. So this is the shape we like, and then it moves to the right and to the left. So you want to get each one of these shapes moving upwards. The whole idea is to try to get that little mass of the thing that's being burned to a crisp moving up and extinguishing itself. And so you're not doing yourself a favor by starting with a very small little bit of fire, which starts the fire and then grows and then jumps back to the loop. So, and I don't think that I would do this either. I don't think that I would do, so this part of the arc right here is static for 3 or 4 drawings in a row. Look, see where my mouse is? So it grows. It's like, if you ever saw James and the Giant Peach, the spider takes a fire and she draws it in midair and it becomes like a contrail or smoke that's coming out of the cigar or smoke that comes out of a jet airplane would do the same thing. But when you apply that to fire, that little grow thing there, it doesn't look quite like my demo from last week. And you also might want to think just about getting each one of these particular shapes as a 3-dimensional sphere to move up in the next drawing, right? As opposed to just wiggling around, because I think that when you play it, I think that there's too much wiggling around and not enough upwards movement. All right. Thank you, Angel.
Thank you, Professor. I'll see you at my house.
Yeah, 30 minutes or so.
Okay.
All right, I saw my computer do something, but it's not on my desktop. Oh, there it is. All right, I think this is the first pass here. I think everything is looking pretty good. And once again, you're going to hate me because frame by frame, this shape right here looks like it's almost going backwards in the next drawing. So your second drawing, so this is like the very center of your fire right here. Can you see where my mouse is?
Yeah.
So in the second drawing, it looks like it goes backwards because it does.
Mm.
And then in the next drawing, it returns to the same place that it was in the first drawing. So that's technically a wiggle. And you would definitely want to concentrate on getting this little C shape of fire to move up, push up into the air rather than just going backwards and then back to where it started and then back to where it started again. So technically you've got 8 frames, which is 1/3 of a second where this little mass of fire here hasn't moved any. And then by this drawing, it moves a little bit. And then here it finally breaks away. So you're into your 6th drawing before this volume of the fire actually moves. you've got air holes in the fire, but I think they're just wiggling around a little bit too. Your embers are moving okay. And you've got a nice wave on the left side over here. And on the right side is working, but the stuff in the middle looks like it's just wiggling around before those last two drawings. So that's a quick fix if you can get to it.
Okay,
All right, thank you, Magnus.
thanks.
Kyle.
Howdy.
All right, so I think this is working pretty well. I saw something here.
It's the right near the very end, the flame comes up before looping and it has kind of a U shape. That's where it looks weird because it doesn't move up anymore. Like that part there.
So this is your last frame.
Yeah.
And if I was doing this in the very next drawing, I would have, and I'm just gonna do this as well as I can here. So if this was me doing this, I would definitely bring that shape up and let it kind of be like that. This part here, I might have it go like this. And then this might grow. So this little U shape here, it's gonna come up and grow. And this shape here would grow. This shape here might go backwards, but it also might get another little bit in there because it moved to the left.
Gotcha.
This little shape is going to be here, and then I might do something like that. It also might help to have a little air in here. So now with my now with the drawing tool turned off in Zoom, I'm going to go back to the very first frame and see what the first frame looks like. So that's your first frame, and it goes backwards.
Yeah.
So that's your last frame, and the green is what I would suggest. And because you don't do anything close to the green, it looks like it goes backwards.
Okay.
So that would be my fix. And then I think that the other thing that you could do is what we talked about last week. By now that you've got the 8-frame loop, is get a couple of embers to start in the middle and end in the middle. And I'll review that. I'll review that again. And I think that could be a quick fix for you, but
yeah,
I think that's all you need to do. And get some air holes in the middle there.
Okay, gotcha.
In the whole production value of this, I like the light between the rocks. And if you could handle it, the idea could be is that you do a moving hold.
Yeah, having it dancing around a bit.
So yeah, you just do one and you copy it, move it around just a little bit. And whatever you did there to do that with your brush, just have it wiggle around so that the fire is actually alive.
Okay, gotcha.
Looks pretty good.
Thank you.
Right. Kyle. Ryan.
Hello.
Okay, I think this is working pretty good. You know, it's very energetic. When the fire opens up like that to that big open U shape, you know, that fire can do that. You've got this little bit here, like going in a loop, which is fine. And this one's got a little loop up here. I think that's fine. I think that I might only make one suggestion, and that is that the amount of embers you've got coming off of it could use maybe a little work. So I'm going to let that play while I do this, and hopefully it'll make sense. So this part of the fire comes out here. It comes out this far. See it hitting that frame?
Mhm.
And then this one hits this shape over here. Actually, let me draw that a little more accurately. It hits this shape. So both of those two shapes, you see them hitting the frame?
Yep.
And I think that the laws of nature say that once this fire goes over here, it should let out at least a plume of fire going up, maybe even cycling to the left and to the right like that. So for a couple of frames, there might be a frame in between each one of these before it becomes a full-blown ember. And the same thing over here. I think that once the fire reaches its left extreme like this, you've got it. I think that you see this little shape right here. So this moves into this position, but then it doesn't do anything. I think that now it's when you want to get that part to move and to become an ember.
Got it.
I think that just the addition of those two little bits would help a lot. I don't mind this little cycling action right here. Fire actually does that.
Mhm.
But I think the laws of nature say is that the main direction of the fire is up. It does cause its own little environment to go this way, but then it's going to be this way too. So one thing that you can do with this little guy, this little tadpole over here, is to have him go counterclockwise.
Okay.
Clockwise, counterclockwise.
I think I do. There's like a really small one that does it on the left side, just like a few frames.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that but you want it to also move up. So that one's just
Right.
moving a little bit, but you have it cycle to counterclockwise and move upwards.
Got it.
All right, so that one looks okay. Ryan, everybody, put that flipper together for Ryan. Let me refresh. Oops. Refresh the screen. Delilah,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm doing good.
Okay, I think this is working pretty good here. Yeah, I think that that's working pretty good. The only suggestion I might make for you is that you do another layer on top of it where you have a red bit of fire looping
Oh,
on top of it, and then even a yellow bit. So like you can do both. So that might just add to it, because I think you just got a really big volume of orange. So
okay.
try adding the red and yellow to it. I don't think you need to fix anything. There's definitely a push on this little bit right here, and I suspect that it's the loop between the very last frame and the first frame. Let's double check it. So that goes up, that goes up, that goes up. That's correct. That's up, correct, correct, correct. This is your last drawing. And then your first drawing. So I'm gonna put my mouse right here and just remember where it is. It's right on that level. And it just pushes. So
Oh,
so the last drawing right here, you've got this little bird beak shape right here that needs to go
Yeah.
up. You need that little bit, that little volume, that little thing that's being cinderized needs to go up, not to the left. So
okay.
if you could fix just that little bit, you would have it. And then I think that the other thing is it's stylistic of the red and yellow.
Okay.
All right, Delilah.
Thank you.
And Tristan. Yourself. All right, so you've got the embers moving up, but these little arms right here, they're just wiggling around. So I'll review the fire again here in just a moment. But yeah, your embers are moving up and the little holes in it are moving up, but these little arms here need some love right here. And we'll talk about it. I'll review the whole thing here in just a moment. All right, thank you, Tristan.
Yeah, I just want to redo it. Just haven't been able to.
Okay. Okay, so let us do this. We have my fire right here. So let's just kind of look at this. And let's just talk about how we did this last week. The first thing that we did, let me turn this layer off, is we put our layer 1 here. Our layer 1 really should say layout. And it's very possible that I wrote layout, but the computer just doesn't take it. It doesn't like me sometimes. All right, so this is our layout. This is what our flame looked like. It's what we were shooting for. And we're going to add to this today anyway. All right, and then we're gonna talk about smoke too. Right? We're gonna talk about the fire here just again, see if you all can make any adjustments to it in just a few minutes. Take a break, and then we'll do smoke. All right, so what we did here is we went out onto the electric internet. Then we just typed in 2D animation fire. And we're going to add drawing in there because if we don't, we're going to get a lot of 3D stuff. And we're just going to look at this one because this is the one that this comes from the Smith animation text. And so just look at this for a moment. We see this outside shape here on the left moving up and getting bigger. And then in the 4th drawing, it's moving up and getting bigger. In the 5th drawing, it's up, up, up. Now in the 8th drawing, it's breaking away and it's all of a sudden breaking away. So this is a good fire to look at. We like the torch version of the fire. I think that this one down here is kind of strange because the campfire is just a very simple flame and then it gets really energetic and then dies. So this is not a good example here. This is a good torch fire here. This is just a candle flame right here, so we don't really use that one. This is the one we talked about last week. And it's a little out of focus, but that's okay. All right, so what we're looking at is just a torch or a campfire. And we're looking at following these little X's. So in drawing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there's an 8th drawing out there too. I think this thing is over it. Yeah, there's an 8th drawing right there. So we're following these little nodes. And we see this like sharp point right here break up and become an ember in 8 drawings. And then in the very first drawing, this ember right here continues as an ember going upwards. So even though it's only 8 drawings, this shape right here animates into this shape by the time it cycles over each other. All right, so on the right side, this little S shape moves up, 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 breaks apart, gets smaller, becomes an ember, and then we don't know if our eye is going to follow it up, but it might. All right, so that's essentially what we're doing is we're starting with a good drawing that looks like fire. And for this little add-on thing here, what I think I'll do is draw with a little darker blue in my layout, just because we talked about this last week. All right, and so we're looking at just defining some shapes, and we're going back and forth between the open negative space and what these little spaces here curl over and look like. All right, so this is just our layout. We like these little sharp points going backwards. And then, like I said last week, wrapping around the log. Wrapping around the log itself. It's always a nice touch to pay attention to. This is a hole, it's an air hole. And then this right here is we're borrowing from this example here. Again, this is the John Hallis and Harold Whitaker book. It's the Timing for Animation book that I recommend for this class. And I don't see the cover of that book right now, but that's okay. All right, and we like these little elongated S shapes. There's a continuity between what you're doing in fire and actual calligraphy. They have kind of the same code to them. All right, so those lines just make up our first fire, and that's our layout. So let's just take our layout back down again and bring our main fire up. And let's just talk about the first drawing. So all we did on this first drawing, and oh yeah, we did it in red. So let's pick our red again. And we're just gonna continue to find that shape right here, just in rough form right now. And we liked it. We're borrowing these shapes from the example that we saw. We like that the fire is got a nice tall look to it. There's a little open space we're going to add there. Again, I'm just kind of extrapolating what we ended up with last week. I'm drawing it a little darker red on this pass and just explaining things just a little similar, but a little differently than we did last week. All right, so once again, we're looking at this shape. We're not thinking paper, but we're thinking like, you know, what does fire look like? What is the shape of fire? You know, lots of different shapes work. In fact, I think I made this comment last week that fire and water have very similar shapes to them. All right, so we like these little fun shapes here. These are always great to work with. And we got our embers. And I think we added those last, but we're going to add a couple more so that you can just remind yourself about how it's done. That's our first frame. We're going to go to our second frame, and our second frame sees the first frame as blue. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that this arc is moving up, that this little sharp point is moving up, that this little shape right here is moving up. This little hook shape is moving up and changing a little bit. We'll see this little point right here moved up a lot, and that this paper shape moved up and got a little smaller. The little hole became this area. This shape right here needs a little work because the blue and the red are right on top of each other. So I'm going to redirect this a little bit and bring it up and like that. So this C shape, just like our flag wave, has to move up. This shape just moves up, stays kind of the same. This little hole right at the bottom of the fire moves up, and it's just kind of a moving hold at the bottom. All right, so now if we go backwards a frame and forwards, we can see how it's working a little bit. So what I'm looking at now is what's happened with this shape right here goes into this shape. So I'm gonna simplify that a little bit because I don't want it to be, I don't want to confused about this shape apparently going backwards. So in order to make sure that doesn't happen, I want this shape to look very similar to what this shape was. So you can see that it's moving up. All right, this is good. This is just going to move up. This is moving up. Change it a little bit. looks like it's breaking apart. And that part is got a little swindle to it. And we'll copy the embers even though we did them on our second pass, we'll add a couple more here in just a moment. All right, so our next drawing. So we're going from the blue into the red. So this outside arc, just like the flag, continues to move up. Remember, it should be moving fastest at the bottom. It's going to also curve in a little bit. This open shape here is going to come up. And this is going to start a new one. But I don't want to draw it too big because it'll look like it's going backwards. We'll make sure that this open shape moves up quickly so that it does move upwards. And then this shape here started to break apart and moved up a lot. It's breaking apart. It's connecting. So backwards, make sure that things go up. So even in this drawing here, this shape here could move a little faster. And then this is going to actually go backwards. Hopefully it won't look too horrible. This open shape and follow the curve of the log and a moving hold on the bottom. All right, going backwards, we're looking at this shape right here going up. And this shape here going up and to the left. And this part we didn't do quite correctly. So what I'm going to do is bring this like this, and I'm going to take the top part of this and bring it up like that. This will be fine. This little shape that we liked right here is now becoming less, and we'll draw in our embers. That's our third drawing. Okay, the fourth drawing. Remember, the outside arcs have to continue to go up. This open space, this shape right here, is going up, is curving in now. This little hole is becoming less because it's becoming an open shape right here, which we're going to add. So this shape moves up, moving hold, go backwards. This is going backwards. So right now we've got this shape right here, and this has to be quite a bit different in order to make sure it looks like it's going up. All right, going this way. So this open shape right here could actually become an ember itself. This probably needs to move up a little more. This probably can move up a little more. All right, so that open C shape then is becoming this, and then this is becoming this. And again, I'm going backwards and forwards, and we miss this thing, this little bit right here. If we wanted it to move upwards here, I think we want a little tendril on it so that it looks like it's moving to the left. All right, and then this little bit's not moving fast enough here. So we'll improve that by just moving it up. And these are our embers. Backwards, forwards. And we'll just copy those because they're already part of the cycle. All right, then this drawing right here, let's go backwards. So let's get this to move this way. This is going downwards, moving hold. Backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards. This part's working okay, but I'm not convinced about this little bit. I want to start it down here first. Backwards, forwards. I'm going to exaggerate that a little bit. Backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards. Backwards, forwards. So I'm going to change this a little bit, and this backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards. So this area here needs to move up quite a bit more. All right, backwards, forwards. This is okay. This little ember is okay. Backwards, forwards. So I'm not quite convinced about this little bit right here, but it's okay now. This shape is okay. We lost this in this frame. So this little rectangle comes up here and our favorite shape moves over here. That's fine. Drawing the embers backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards. All right, second to the last drawing, third to the last drawing, backwards, forwards. All right, so this is moving up quite a bit. You can kind of notice that we're starting in the same place or trying to start in the same place. This little air hole goes up to here and then just becomes part of a wiggle down here. Again, our moving hold around the log. Backwards, forwards. This is okay. Backwards, forwards. This is important to draw that as meaty as we can. That's a big part of the fire. This air hole goes here. And again, you're just kind of wanting to make sure that shapes are paintable. Backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards. So this is going backwards right here. I want to go from this place upwards. So I'm going to add a little turnover right here and go backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards. So this isn't working here. I'm going to have to think about this. Let's see, we want that to kind of go up, backwards, forwards. I think it's working a little better there. Backwards, forwards. Backwards, forwards. That's okay. Backwards, forwards. Backwards, forwards. This is okay. Backwards, forwards. This is okay. This is okay. All right. So the second to the last drawing. Oops, hold on. I missed this part here. Backwards, forwards. So backwards, forwards. Okay. These two might reconnect with each other. All right. So this one going up. This is our drawing we're on. This is the next one. So this shape right here is like a C or it's like a G. And I want to make sure that that moves upwards. So I'm just going to like G, it's moving upwards. Go backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards. So I want to change this open shape right here. Backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards, so that it's moving. It looks like it's moving upwards. Might even get this part to grow right there. Oops. This part should be okay. Backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards, little tendril on it. Forwards, up a little higher, backwards, forwards. Backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards. So this is a hole. Backwards, forwards. We want to connect these two together, backwards, forwards. Oops, that was the last one. All right, follow the log. So now I've got this little hole starting again, moving hold, backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards. This is not moving correctly. This little bit right here, this little 3 shape right here, just it looks like it's going backwards. It looks like it's going backwards because I took this shape and made it here, but now I need to get this shape to move upwards. So I'm going to add a little shape right there to it. Maybe even a third one. All right, and then the trick, like we said last week, is to get it to move into, to animate into the layer that's underneath it. And the layer that's underneath it is the layout layer, which is also our first layer. So let's bring the layout up a little more. My Wacom tablet's not behaving. and bring this down just so we can see what's happening on the very last drawing. All right, maybe down just a little bit more. All right, so what we're doing is we're going from this drawing, which is the darker red, and you're going to have to go back and forth because you're going from the darker red into the layout drawing. Let me bring the layout drawing up. So the layout drawing is the one that's in blue. So we're going from red into blue on this drawing. Red into blue, red into blue. All right, so on this drawing here, we've got the red. And again, I'm starting just trying to start in the same place. Red into blue, red into blue, red. So I'm going to put another little, oops, I'm on the wrong drawing. Red into blue. So these lines right here are just kind of stuck on each other. What I'm going to do is introduce like a little wiggle to it. The red has got to go into the blue. So I'm going to have this one. I'm going to Z that. Hold on. I'm going to bring this like right up into it. And because there's a big hole right here, I'm going to make a beginning of the hole. And then I'm going to go backwards to this drawing and bring it again, and backwards to this drawing and bring it again, even though whatever was happening is already there. Okay, so we'll test that in just a second. All right, so we're going from red into blue. So this red, it should be fine because it's going into this shape. And remember that a little tricky thing is getting it to, is making sure that you're not making things go backwards. All right, you're going from red into the blue. So I'm going to underplay that just a little bit. This part, I'm going to, okay, so this red part here is at issue because this red, I'm talking about just this little bit right here. And again, the light red is what we worked on just at the last minute last week. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this just a little bit. I'm going to go to the very first drawing, and good, it's already there. It's already there. So here we're just going to, so we're going red into blue. This blue thing, I don't see anything leading into this. If I go backwards, I got this and I got this, but on this frame here, I need to get some sort of shape in there. Let's go backwards a drawing. And that one should be okay. Let's play it right now and see what, just we're studying this shape right here. Let me kill the layout. All right, so I think that's working okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to finish up these little bits just by making sure that they look like embers, that they look like fire. Nothing was catching my eye that they were moving backwards or the wrong way. We got this little mushroom shape because they're pushing into the air and the air is giving them a little bit of resistance. All right, so let's go backwards a frame. And what I'm looking at is this hole right here. I don't see it on this frame, and I don't see it here either. I'm going to go backwards another frame. I don't see it on either one of these frames. This little hole is working fine. But on the very last drawing, it becomes like this shape. So we're going to redirect this last frame. We're going to go to the first frame and look at it. And then I see that on the very first frame, there was like a little hook shape. And we'll play it to see if that catches our eye. All right, so hopefully this little review can help you. What we're going to do is we're going to start in the middle of the loop right now. Again, there's only 8 frames. And I think that we need some kind of embers on the left side here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add and we're halfway through the cycle. So I'm just trying to think of a good place to add it. It looks okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a little shape right here. And I'm going to go backwards a frame and make sure that that shape comes from somewhere. And then that's okay. So this shape that we just drew right here, it's got to come up a little bit more. And now it's going to come up right here. It's still going to be a hole. And now it's coming up here. Now I'm going to overlap it right on this shape. And on the first frame, I don't want it to overlap entirely, but let's go ahead and put it right there. On this frame right here, now it's going to have its own little space. And here it's going to have its own little space. And so let's go backwards. It started here, now it's going up to here. It's kind of following this shape. And it's following that shape and continue to follow that shape. And now on the very last frame, it becomes that little mushroom shape. On the very first drawing, we're going to put it here and then follow it up again. Now it's becoming just a little ember. You can see that we started the little bit in the middle of the cycle, and now it's already at the middle of the cycle again. So this shape right here became this shape on the very first drawing. This is what it looks like as a loop. And I think it's working okay. It's working okay. I think that we got a nice little changeover of a wave right here on the left and on the right. There's lots of holes in the middle, lots of embers. That's working pretty well. All right, and again, I think that we use this for inspiration and all the other stuff that we were using for shapes. All right, so let me just ask for any questions. Do I have any questions from anybody? No questions. Oh, there's some stuff in the chat. It's a very hot fire. Yes, indeed it is. Sorry, Shade. I see you writing. Okay, so let's do this. Let's take a 10-minute break. And then I'm going to show you how smoke is related to fire. Yeah. Perfect. All right, take a 10-minute break. 10 minutes. 13 minutes. Come back right at 8 o'clock.
Came to the right place. No one gets divorced in LA. I and Billy Kimber. Came to the right place. No one gets.
All right, everybody ready? Readmitting Rachel and Angel. Pausing for a second, everybody coming back. Chloe, you're the only one that has a camera. See, I told you. Trying to catch a Pikachu who has the audacity to be standing on my desk. And it was, well, it was my opinion. I firmly believe that the executive director of the game department at the academy wanted me to start their effects class for the game department because he saw what his kids were playing Pokemon Go, that some of the animation in there is procedurally driven, that it's either done with Unity or something, and some of the shapes just don't look right, especially with like the little smoke or the little explosions. Some of it just doesn't look right. And he's like, hey, because he was a 2D animator. I worked with him 28 years ago. I think I asked him about it, and he didn't want to commit to that idea, but well, we have it. So what I wanted to do, oh, and I recorded the whole break. Sorry. You'll have to skip over that part if you go back to YouTube. So I wanted to just make a couple of points. Let me grab my thing here. And I've said part of this before, is that when we were on ground, we were punching paper a lot, and the room was a mess, and it was terrifying. I only got through 8 projects in 15 weeks or 10 projects or something like that. But because we have the ability to work with the Zoom and everyone's using digital tablets of some sort or another, we can really treat this as a nice 18-week semester and get a couple of things done. I think that the idea of doing smoke right now it's perfect. We went from flag to fire to smoke. All 3 of these have the same basic idea behind it, where something is moving upwards, or in the case of a flag, it's sideways. And in the case of smoke, it's going to be the same thing. What I'm going to do here, just looking at my list, is I wrote these in pencil very lightly because I knew that I was going to erase it and move things around. But looking forward, looking to the next couple weeks, what I'd like to do is move from this. We'll do smoke today, and then I'll show you how to do pixie dust. And pixie dust is notoriously easy to do. It takes just one little knack in order to get it right, but it might take 2 weeks in order to actually produce it, because you're drawing just tons of little dots. And I'll give you a whole bunch of examples and everything. And then depending on how we are, depending on how long the pixie dust takes, we'll move into a bomb, which has its own kind of smoke and explosion. And then I think that leads us into spring break. And then from there, we'll go back to the traditional stuff of animation, where we're talking about cycling a car on the road. And that's actually a really fun project, and Paul is really always happy with that one. And as soon as we get into the car with the road cycle, then we'll start talking about walks and runs, and your final, believe it or not, which is the traditional run, catch, jump, or jump, run, catch. And we'll talk about that when we get to it. So that's just the overreaching plan for the class here. So let's talk about smoke, because where there's fire, there's smoke. So the first thing that we want to do is, as always, Let's go to our effects board. And remember, you can see this. This is smoke. This is a big bomb here, but this would take way too long. This is beautiful. This one right here, Chris Graff, I mean, it's got a real sense of perspective in it and a couple of different instances of smoke. This is really, hey, my mouse is really sensitive. You know, this one right here with colored in black, that's really great for one frame. This is really great. There's lots of really great curves in there. You know, this is starting to look doable. Remember, we want something to cycle in just a few frames and to be able to understand how it works and have it cycle in just a few frames. I think that I posted this cartoon fire here just because it's got lots of examples of fire. You know, the brush fire, torch fire, campfire. Just when you're always looking for really cool shapes to draw. We talked about this one last week. All right, so this is the smoke that we'll use for our bomb in a couple weeks. But let me find the one smoke that is better than all the other smokes because it's direct, it's simple, it's easy to follow. It's not the most simple shape. There's a little bit of a knack to it. And it's one of the first things I posted to this board, so it's always really far down. So give me a second here. You know, I post all kinds of different instances of water and different kind of instances of smoke, because it's actually, you know, get your imagination working about how different things can actually be. It's not always that smoke is just one shape. All right, so this is what I like right here. And I'm just going to leave this as it is right here because I like this little smoke. Actually, what I'll do is I'll open this one in another window so we can see it. And I'll open this one just right here. All right, so I like both of these are very much related. This one's saying, no, don't do this. You know, this is really silly, like puffing smoke. But this one's got a really nice arc to it. There's lots of shapes in there. And so this bottom one with the green check mark is very much related to both of these. And again, this one is saying, hey, look, this is too simple. Use this one. This bit of smoke right here is very much related to this one. This one just has a lot of outside bubbly shapes to it. This one is very smooth, but essentially they move the same way. And I'll explain that here in just a moment. Let me save this and put it away. I'm going to open a new project, say okay. I'm going to save this project just as smoke. And again, instead of just showing you tons of examples of stuff that's already done, it almost makes more sense to just do it, make it work. So the other thing that we want to think about here is that if we were just a little bit smarter with our fire, we could have said, hey, you know, with the placement of the fire that we've got, we didn't leave any room for smoke. If we were to start to draw the smoke, we would lose it immediately. But the problem with trying to draw the fire over here in the left-hand corner is that it would just be a little bit too small. So I'll leave it up to you about how you want to put the fire and the smoke together, if you want to do that at all. I mean, you don't have to do that. So let's talk about this smoke right here. And again, we just talked about flags, and we talked about nodes in flags. We talked about the fire. We talked about nodes in the fire. And what we're looking for in a node is just a place where there's an outside curve or there's a shape that we can follow. And we're just using the word node because that's how I learned it 30 years ago, you know? So for the sake of continuity, we're going to continue to call them nodes. And again, I just like this shape right here. And again, it very much relates to this. And you can see that the chimney is the same, right? The chimney is like the same drawing, but there's just different styles of smoke there. But the animation is the same. All right, so what we're going to do is we're just going to give ourselves a background. And the background, we're just going to borrow just a little chimney shape. So on the background layer with our brush, with some sort of luscious brown color in the left focal point on layer number 1, I'll just remind everyone that we have cinematic thirds. So you divide your screen up into vertical and horizontal thirds. And those are our good focal points, but there's also a focal point in the middle. And you want to stay away from action safe and title safe areas on the edge, on the anywhere near the edge, just stay away from it, which generally means that you've got a lot of space in here to play with for your composition. All right, so that's just kind of our idea of we want to place things in and around a focal point. For us, I think that what we're doing here is we're going to try to get our smoke to fit on the screen. So we're going to concentrate either on this lower left focal point, or we're going to force it just down a little bit from this left focal point. All right, on our layout, our background layer, we can borrow the perspective on this chimney if we want. Let's give yourself some sort of reference to the smoke is coming out of a chimney. That would be our campfire if we were going to do smoke for our campfire. All right, doesn't have to be crazy beautiful. Just kind of has to be there, give it some sort of texture. All right, good. So the left focal point's right there. On our, that's our background. On our layout layer here, what I'm going to do is now I'm going to switch colors to something blue and light blue. And we're going to look at our smoke. So we've got 1, 2, 3. If you did it 1, 2, 3, 4, the smoke would move kind of oddly. It would move to the right and up. It would look like it's moving through a hose. So we don't want to do that. Same thing here. We got 1 and 2 nodes and a third node. We've got 1 and 2 and a third bottom node off to the left side. All right, so in our layout, we're going to start with just this one by giving ourselves an outside curve, sketching it. It's going to come in. So in this one, the fire's kind of already gone out. All right, bottom. It's kind of got this skinny shape to it here. And the air is kind of wafting it. There's a hole that we're going to need to follow. All right, and then before we get into huge trouble aesthetically, I'm going to remember to put this hole. I don't like this hole being up here. I'm just going to put it over here. It's easier to follow. But I am going to borrow that there's a new hole with it. That's cool. But before we get into trouble, I'm going to take the chimney, I'm gonna move it over to the right a little bit. I'm gonna take my smoke on the layout layer, and I'm just gonna move it over to the right just a little bit. Something like that. Okay. All right, so let's refine this just a little bit. It's our layout. So let's take a little moment to think about just the shape of the exterior line. We want lots of nice S shapes everywhere. And we're not copying it exactly, we're just being inspired. All right, the bottom. You know, and this one is a lot thinner, but that's okay. We like this little inside curve here that goes outside, a little dip, a little hole, and a little curve right there. Flatten that out. I'm going to give ourselves another little curve right there and just erase this part just to clean it up just a little bit. All right, so now it's time to start thinking about how this puppy moves. So on our layout layer, which again, we're just using to plot out the movement and the motion, we're going to also draw our arc. I'm going to draw my arc in a different color, orange or yellow, because this is the arc. This is the arc. So what's happened is the wind has got a general movement from left to right, but it kind of slowed down and sped up a little bit. Wind can do that. And so this node here, which we'll call X, starts from here and it goes to here, and then it speeds up. It moves pretty quickly. So if you look at this one, the nodes are actually pretty close together. So what we would have to contend with here is thinking about, do we want to move this little node further to the right, about right here, so that we'll get an even a pace of movement or even speed of movement, or is it okay that it speeds up a little bit right there? And we can redirect that very quickly. By just cutting it in. Oops, why am I on the eye? I don't have an eyedropper. Okay, so let's just. All right, so I redirected that just a little bit. And so it's not going to be crazy speed up and slow down kind of deal. What we've got now is this X moves about the same distance. It does speed up a little bit, which is fine. And the bottom node is a 0 and it goes from here to here. And then there's one that's just off screen over here. So the movement is about the same. The movement is about the same distance. It does speed up a little bit as the smoke gets further away from the chimney, which is fine. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to put a crosshatch here, just like this was our chart in animation. And we're going to just use 8 drawings again. Start with 8 drawings. So these are our keyframes here. This X is our keyframe. The O is our keyframe. Along the arc of motion, this is our breakdown position, and I'll give our breakdown position just an underline. And the going forwards about the same distance, maybe a little more. That's our next breakdown position. And our breakdown position is going to be just off the screen on the top. There'll be a breakdown position coming from the chimney just about right there. So those are our keys and breakdown positions. All right, so now with just a lighter color, we'll do the quarter positions. And the quarter positions down here. And the reason why I'm doing it like this is because we don't know how fast this smoke is moving. We don't know if these are going to be on 8s or 6s or 4s or 2s. I just want to know the overall pacing. I know that this is a big jump graphically here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 drawings going from key to key. I think we're going to need 8. So now I'm just going to put a little dot where the 8th positions are on the arc of motion. And remembering it does speed up just a little bit as it goes out here. And put another one right there. Don't forget that one. Okay, and on the bottom. And it speeds up a little bit down here. All right, so that's our timing to begin with. We're going to add a layer. We're going to move this layer up to the top. We're going to take our, hey, that was weird. Okay, let's put that back where it belongs. We're going to take the layout layer down just a little bit in its opacity. We don't need the whole thing right there. This is our smoke layer. We're just going to call it capital S. Our background layer, dependent to the layout layer, we just need probably 32 frames. 8, 24, 32. So we'll probably need a total of 32 frames here. Our smoke layer, drawing 1, we're just going to copy this. I'm going to use a light blue from our Animator's Rough toolkit. And we're just going to copy our layout. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to make a couple of points just about keeping the exterior curves here simple. We got one little dip here, a bigger medium dip here, and then a larger dip here. We're going to keep this a smooth circle. And we see that this is a larger outside curve, a medium outside curve, a dip, medium, and a bigger outside curve. And let me explain. When I talk about the middle of the smoke, this is an outside curve to the middle. This is an inside curve to the middle of the smoke. This is continuing to be an inside curve. Now it becomes an outside curve. You know, I'm not quite fascinated with that little mistake I made. Just smooth it out. This is an outside curve, inside curve to a bump, a little hole in it, outside curve, inside bump, outside curve, a big one, and a little wiggle, and an inside curve, outside curve, and the hole moves to this point here. On our layout layer, we could, in fact, make a little note if we were in Toon Boom that that hole is going to move over here. We'll just remember. One thing that you can do here is actually start that little hole right here so you don't forget about it. But it might make sense to not draw that hole in the smoke until it gets only a few frames. So I'll Z that out. We'll just make a little note on our layout to start this hole right here, start the hole right about there. This little asterisk will mean start the smoke about right there. All right, so I'm gonna be brave and we're gonna animate this on 3s to begin with. This is the tricky part. Everyone's paying attention. Chloe, can you see everybody? Are they paying attention? They're paying
Yes.
attention. All right, there's 2 different ways we can do this. Just like the same thing with the flag. I could draw the breakdown position, and then I could animate key to key, which is probably what I'm going to do because it's easier to do it that way. Or I could just draw this shape animating this much every single frame for what should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drawings. So if I'm 3s, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 times 3 is 24. So this is actually set for 4s. So let's be brave and set it on 4s. So 4s means on our layout with the blue that we're going to go from X on our chart back into X again. And this is our breakdown position. So that's half. And then we're going to go from the little intermediary quarters. And then we've got the little dots like this. So now that we've determined we want it to be a 32 frame cycle, which is about 1.25 seconds to go from here to here, which is not too crazy, we know that X is now frame 1. And that this will not be frame 32 here. Let's just name this out. So this is on 4s. So this will be frame 5. This will be frame 9. This will be frame 13. This will be frame 17. That's the breakdown. 19, 21, 23, 25, 27, 29, which makes perfect sense because 29 is being held for 4 frames, 29, 30, 31, 32. So now we're on 4s. So this is our chart. So out on frame 5, if we were going to do this, we would draw this frame right here. So we don't want that. We want frame 17 as our breakdown position. So let's go out to frame 17. There we are. We're on frame 17. We're in the S and we can't draw. So with this application, we have to add a drawing after. Oops. Be on the right level. Add a frame after. And let's just put our frames in place. And it matches perfectly. Great. Here's frame 17. So now on our smoke layer, we're just going to see what happens. This is an outside curve. And it becomes a little inside curve back outside again. And now we have to figure out what to do here. We have to figure out how we get this connected. So this, let me do this on the layout. The theory is this, is that this is a volume of smoke. And that volume is moving along with the arc of motion into this position. It's also expanding a little bit. By the time it gets out here, it's really big. Same thing with the bottom. This shape right here, it's moving into this position in 8 drawings. And then this one is moving way out over there. Everyone okay? That makes sense? Okay. So let's go back to our drawing here. So what happens here? You know, we've got this shape moving. Let's just kind of look back at our smoke here and just kind of think about what happens. This smoke is just kind of going left and right, but it's moving up. And so let's just make sure that this line doesn't cross over and follow the line that we started with. Let's do it like that. All right, so then this is our our in between here, our breakdown position here. But on our arc of motion, what I would like to do is follow this, which is the bottom of the arc of the top volume. See what I'm doing? And then we're going to follow this, which is the bottom of the arc on the bottom. So they cross over right there. So what I did is I just wanted to see where this curve was going to follow into this. So that's the arc of motion for that curve right there. It's like right down the middle. So I've got, so let's go back to drawing right here. All right, so now it's got to come to this position here. What does it look like? It actually goes below it a little bit. And this has a little outside curve that goes like this. And then what happens to this? We don't see it up here, but this little arc continues to grow a little bit and then just dips down and then becomes this. All right, so then the bottom. Let's start with this node going into this node. So it's right here. There's a little inside outside curve switch right there. and then it comes back up to the arc of motion. On the other side, it goes this way, and then there's an outside curve, which follows along this U shape. And then it goes back up into this shape. And then it's going to connect back to the chimney. All right, so then the hole is going to follow along the arc of motion. It's going to be right here. It's getting a little bigger. And I don't think I drew it in the right place. It's not right in the middle. So I'm going to Z that out. I'm going to draw it right here. It's more in the middle if I put it right there. All right, so this little inside-outside curve goes back up to here. And then this node is going to go all the way over there. So it's probably going to look something like this. So now I'm looking at just this shape. And there's like a little mountain. That's fine. All right, so that's our breakdown position. So now let's do this position here, which is this position. And we can barely see where it's going to with the green, which is fine. I maybe make it a little brighter. That's fine. So now we're going to draw this position. We're going to do the same thing. Again, I think your hands have memory. So get that to connect. What happens to this little S shape? It goes in and out, and it's going to come down. So right here, that shape is coming right there. And it's going to go out and down. And then this shape is going to go into the green shape. So there's a little outside curve right there. This shape is going into outside, inside curve. And then this green then, or the blue is going into the green. Let's go backwards. So we started here, and now this drawing here, we're going to put another little inside curve here. And then this shape right here is the one we're looking for. So it's going to move from there into the green. So we're just going to, it's going off the screen. So we're just going to go like that. All right, now let's do the bottom. Same thing, we're doing the breakdown position, the secondary breakdown position here. Let's just go forwards first. So this is the shape. And there's a little inside curve. It follows the little ribbon of the smoke. And then let's start here. Connect it. Okay, so we're going from the blue into the green. We could just put our hole in there right now. Let's go backwards, just so you don't get just confused. It's going from the blue into the green. So on this drawing here, this line is moving out and down to this point right here. And then it's coming up and going off the screen. Now let's just check it by just going from here to here to here. Let's do it again. First frame, frame 9, frame 17. It's working okay. That's our motion. All right, so now what we've got to do is we've got to take this drawing, which is our secondary intermediate breakdown, which is this frame right here, and get it to go from this drawing back into the layout. Now, this has already got a mark on it because I made a little dot somewhere. That's okay. So we're going from this drawing back into our layout drawing. So let's take our layout drawing up a little bit, just so we know where it is. There it is. It's that purple. No, it's the blue. All right, see that, everybody? All right, so we're going from this drawing into this drawing. And so let's start with this drawing here. Hold on a second. We're going from this blue drawing into the layout drawing. This one into the layout. Don't get confused. Make sure you're on the right frame. If you want, we're on frame 25. And so if you want, what you can do on your layout is identify this frame here as frame 25. This frame here is 25. This frame here is 25. This frame here is 25. And then 25 is just right there. All right. All right, so that makes more sense, right? You can see the inside and outside curves right here. This is frame 25. Sometimes it makes sense to go back to this drawing here to make sure it's working correctly. All right, so we're going from this frame into this frame. All right, so the first thing that I would like to do here is make sure that we hit this correctly. This is our first little plume of smoke on the left side. So what we're going to do is we're just to make sure that that comes up and is in the right place. Let's just connect this together with an outside inside curve. Let's kind of darken this up so we can see it just a little bit stronger. And let's play, hopefully we can see if it's working correctly. All right, so it's on fours, but we've only got 4 drawings. Nothing is moving backwards. We're in a good place. All right, so now we're on the right keyframe. We're going from this drawing here back into our layout drawing. So this drawing here back into our layout drawing. Our layout drawing looks like that. All right, so this is frame 25. See where I'm starting on 25? And I'm going to follow. This is frame 25. And then the little outside inside curve again. Connect this little ribbon here. On this drawing, this is where our hole is. Do we remember to put our hole here? That's fine, good. All right, so this shape here is an inside, outside curve. Again, we're just going to go back here and see if it's moving correctly. All right, let's see what it looks like now. Let's turn our layout down a little bit more. All right, can everyone see the methodology here? Can everyone see how these little puffs of smoke are moving? We have only done 4 drawings. We have to make sure that these drawings are moving correctly. Because you don't want anything to go backwards. Smoke should never go backwards. Fire can go backwards because it's erratic. But here, we want to make sure that this is moving correctly. My estimation, it might even be moving too slow. We might want to put this on 8s and move it out to 64 frames. Well, let's do the in-betweens first. So between this frame right here and this frame, we want an in-between. So I go here and I'm going from the blue into the green. So just right here, inside curve, back to the chimney. We're going from the blue into the green. Follow the little dip. Make sure these 2 lines cross over each other, the blue into the green. Inside curve and the little shoulder. We could draw the circle first if we want. We could draw the circle first if we want. It's going from the blue into the green. So this is a good place here. This big arc right here has to move upwards. And then it's going to go down. I don't know if I drew this circle in the right place. Hold on. All right, the blue into the green. Blue into the green. Blue into the green. It's moving a little bit faster out there. Blue into the green. blue, I'm sorry. All right, we missed the circle here on this drawing, this open hole. So I'm just going to put it in here and just emulate it here. All right, so let's check this. We have to finish this. Blue into the green. Again, you want to make sure that this arc watches the tangent. Blue into the green. All right, let's play it. All right, see how it's moving nice and smooth right there in the beginning? All right, so now same thing. On this drawing, we're moving from the blue and the green, but let's take our onion skin just down to one drawing before and one drawing after, because we don't want to be confused. All right, again, it's going from the, we're doing this drawing right here, just on the arc. We're doing drawing 13. We're going from 9 into 13. So we're going from 9 into 17. So we're drawing 13, which is right here. So now you just in between these two lines, we're going from the blue into the green. Again, dip that arc down, blue into the green, the blue into the green, bring that arc down and up. Okay, so let's draw the circle, the open hole. Let's draw the open hole that we don't know about that. Hold on. All right, so blue into the green, outside curve inside. Blue into the green. Blue into the green. I'm not sure about this. Let's go back. It was here, and it has to be here. It has to move down here. This line here is incorrect. All right, so now that we got frame 13, let's see how it's moving. All right, I think it's okay. So now once again, going from 17 into 25, we do drawing 21. We're going to just draw 21 is right here on our layout. So we just start in the same place. Blue, oh, I'm erasing stuff I don't have. Blue into the green. Blue into the green. Blue into the green. Get that arc to dip down. Blue into the green. Blue into the green. Let's go backwards. Blue into the green. Come up. Oops, I don't like that line. All right, so it's rough, but let's see how it moves. Okay, perfect. So now we're going from this drawing back into the layout. So let's take our layout and bring our layout up so we see it. So it's that turquoise. So now we're going from blue into the turquoise on this drawing. We're going from blue into the turquoise. We're with our pencil tool, we're here. Sorry, I put things in motion just because I want to make sure that I'm drawing my lines in the right place. This is drawing 25. We're drawing 29 here. So I'm just toggling back and forth just to make sure I've got the lines moving in the right place. All right, so I did not make a mistake. Sometimes I make a mistake. But this is looking okay. There's a few lines that I have to draw here. We're going from here into here. We're going up, outside curve, inside, outside, up. Go ahead and put this little hole. And it looks like we forgot to draw this hole coming across on this keyframe here. So we're looking for the beginning of this hole here. And so what we're doing is we're going to go backwards, and we're just going to draw that little open hole right here. And remember, we talked about it appearing on frame 25. So now we're on frame 25, and we'll put the hole right here. And let's see if we can bring it in from just right here. It might be okay. Let's see if we could do one more. That's fine. So now we're just going to look at that hole appearing. All right, let's go frame to frame and make sure that the hole is in the right place. And the beginning, we missed one. So this one does not have this hole. And maybe the next one, that one's correct. This one, it's all the way off. Oh no, we missed this one. This one should be here. And the outside curve should be down. And then it goes off. Okay, good. All right, so now let's play it. All right, so what are we looking at? We have 10 minutes to just think about this for a second. This little puff of smoke coming up out of the chimney moves along with the mouse. It's moving correctly. Looks like there's a missing line up there. On the bottom, this little node goes down and moves outwards. That's moving correctly. We've got 8 drawings. This is our first drawing. We pulled it from the layout. Our layout can go away. Our onions can go away. So now let's just look at it. You know, I'm going to just toggle back and forth using my arrow keys and see what's missing in terms of lines, or what needs just a little rough improvement. So first drawing, second drawing. Inside curve, first drawing, second drawing. There's a line missing right here. So first drawing, second drawing. First drawing, second drawing. First drawing, second drawing. This line, first drawing, second drawing. Second drawing. Third drawing. That's all I'm thinking about is just the position of the drawing. So this whole form right here is working pretty well. I didn't miss anything right there. So second drawing, third drawing. This is okay. Second drawing, third drawing. Okay, second drawing, third drawing. Can maybe improve this just a little bit. Second drawing, third drawing, okay. Second drawing, third drawing, okay. Fourth drawing, third, fourth, third, fourth, third, fourth, third, fourth, third, fourth. Inside curve. Third, fourth, third, fourth, fifth, fourth, fifth, fourth, fifth. Sixth, fifth, sixth. Fifth, sixth. 7, 6, 7. 7, 8. 8 and go back to the first. Do it again. 8, eighth drawing. Just touch on the first, make sure it's working correctly. 8, moving into the first. Okay. So I want to do one thing. Let's play this. It's a pretty fast chimney. It's a really fast smoke in the chimney. This is only 32 frames, but that's how you do the 8 drawings. I think that it needs 8 more. I think we need to take this out to 32. So with the layout layer selected, take this out to 64. And get your horizontal zoom down a little bit. Make sure that this is in fact frame 64, 63 and 64, that's okay. So now what you want to do here is just add a drawing after. Click this one, add a drawing after. Click this one, add a drawing after. Click this one, their numbers are completely different now. So just what you're looking at now is like a little sawtooth. After, click this one, add a drawing after. Go in, add a drawing after. And so now it should be, I don't know why we lost our layout. That's okay. All right, so now let's see what it looks like. I think that the timing is moving correctly on this. This is what you want. You want 64 frames. So you basically got 8 drawings that you need in between. But let's get these 8 drawings done for next week. Right? Because it should look like this. It should flash like this. And it should be rough like this, so that all I need to do is talk about how to do these. You already know how to do this. You just go from this, you turn your onion skin on, and you bring up the opacity of your layout and your onion skin opacity, and you go from the red, the blue, into the green. So all you need to do is in between those lines and pay attention to your arcs right there. So let's save this file. Let's look at it one more time. So right now it's flashing. It's kind of obnoxious that it's flashing, but that's okay. What we're looking at is whether this sphere of smoke, because that's what it is, it's a sphere. You're looking to see if it comes up from the chimney properly and that it follows the arc of motion properly. And then on the bottom, this little node becomes a circle and it follows the arc properly. And then all you need to do is do your in-betweens and you've got your smoke. So the difference between this smoke and this smoke is just there's just a whole bunch of outside curves. You see the difference right there? It's exact same operation. So if you're feeling brave, you can go in and start putting some outside curves or some outside pieces of smoke. And so on our keyframes, you could say, hey, you know what? On this first keyframe right here, let's just start with a smaller bit of smoke, maybe right here, and then go out to the next keyframe. And you can't see it, but we know it's right here. Go to the next keyframe, because they're all keyframes now, and put it in here. Next keyframe. Getting a little bigger maybe. Next keyframe. Next keyframe. maybe it breaks into 2. Oh my God. So now in this drawing, it's going to break into 2. This drawing, it's going to break into 2. And uh-oh, we're at our last drawing. So now in the very first drawing, we're going to do the same thing. It's going to break into 2. We can open up our onion skin a little bit more just to make sure that we're getting it proper. Go to the next keyframe. And so right here. Next keyframe. Right here. Just like the fire. You know, you added a little bit and it started in the middle and now it's continuing to go out to the end. So you're just adding this little bit. Next keyframe, and it's going out just a little bit. Maybe it gets a little bigger. Last drawing here. You could see it right there. And then play. All right, it doesn't look like it's doing anything crazy. So let's do one starting from this drawing in the middle. We'll just do a little one. Again, we're just looking at the keyframes. So we'll just do like a little one right here, just to make sure we got the idea right. Go to the next keyframe and just bring it right here. Next keyframe, right there. It's outside that little bump right there. And we got to go back to our first drawing. So in our first drawing, it's right here. And then on our next drawing, it's right here. Next drawing, right here. Third drawing, fourth drawing, right here. And right here. And oops, we went too far on this one. And look, I think we need to continue it on the first drawing again. Let's make sure it's in the right place. So we put our mouse right here, first drawing, and we just go right here. And the next drawing. And right there, that's probably our last one. All right, so let's save this and play it. So now we've added just a couple of little puffs of smoke and they're not going backwards. We've got a hole in the smoke that's moving correctly. We've got the volume, the 3D volume of smoke moving on the top correctly with 8 drawings, and the little 3-dimensional quality of smoke moving on the bottom, moving correctly. All we need to do is in-betweens. What do you think? Right now it's 8 drawings. If you were doing this for a show or a game or something, the in-betweens here would be easy, but I'll give you some hints next week about timing, because who knows? Your director might say, oh, that looks really great. It's 64 frames, and 64 frames is 2.5, almost 3 seconds. 72 frames is 3 seconds. And they might say, let's make it 6 seconds. And all you have to do is an in-between every drawing to make it look really awesome. But right now, I just want 8 drawings for next week. And it should look like this. Your drawing should be first drawing keyframes should be on for 4 frames, and just put the blank keyframes in there between all your keyframes so that you can see that it's moving correctly. All right, everyone okay?
Yeah.
All right, what I will do is, I've been recording this, but
Yes.
I'll put the whole video up on YouTube like I always do. But what I'll also do is I'll render this as a QuickTime movie, and I'll put that as an example so you can see what it looks like just as a looping QuickTime movie. All right, everybody okay? You're not gonna cry, are you, Chloe? No? Okay, good. All right, any questions, comments, complaints, conundrums, criticisms? Nothing?
This actually looks like a pretty fun animation.
It's follow the rules and it's awesome. And remember, we did this is your third time doing this. You did this with the flag, and then you did it with the smoke, and now you're doing it with with the fire, and now you're doing it with the smoke. Lots of things move on arcs like this, but make this as awesome as you can. And I will see you all next week. Anybody? Okay, I'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank
Ciao
you,
for now,
Billy.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
bye.